Hi, everyone, and welcome to Canadian Matters. Today, we are going to look at the top 10 TSX market corrections in the first 50 trading days. Keep in mind that there are only 5 trading days in a week. Let's start with the first one, 2020, the COVID crash. You probably remember this one. COVID 19 shut down the world and TSX absolutely tanked. March 2020 saw one of the biggest one day drops ever, down 12% in just one day. Travel, oil, and retail stocks got hammered. It was pure panic mode, down 27% until the central banks stepped in with the stimulus. The second worst year was 1982, the recession in the 80s. If you think inflation is bad now, try the early 80s. Interest rates were at 20%. Yes, really, 20%. Unemployment rate was soaring and the TSX was deep in the red. It was one of the worst economic downturns in modern history, and the markets reflected that. Let's call this one financial recession hangover. So 2008 was the crash, but 2009 wasn't much better. The financial system was still a mess and unemployment was sky high. The TSX started the year deep in the red before slowly crawling back as the economy recovered. Next is dot-com crash. The early 2000s were rough. First, the dot-com bubble exploded, wiping out tech stocks, and then the September 11 attacks happened, shaking global markets. Investors pulled back and the TSX dropped hard, especially tech-heavy companies. Number 5 is post-dot-com and SARS. Even after the dot-com crash, things didn't bounce back right away. The early 2000s were rough and then SARS happened in 2003, creating even more uncertainty. Yeah, this was kind of a mini 2020 before COVID made pandemics mainstream. I'm sure some people remember this, the early 90s recession. The 1990 didn't start great for Canada. High interest rates, a weak economy, and the US recession dragged the TSX down. Plus, the Gulf War spooked investors. It was one of those slow burn crashes, nothing dramatic, just tough year overall. The energy crisis and stagflation in 1984. This one was more of a slow grind. The early 80s recession had just ended, but the economy was still weak. Oil prices were unstable, businesses weren't growing, and the TSX just kind of went nowhere. Investors were stuck in limbo, waiting for something to change. The global financial crisis of 2008. This one needs no introduction. The housing bubble burst, banks collapsed, and the world entered the financial meltdown. The TSX lost nearly 35% of its value by the end of the year. Energy and financial stocks got wiped out, and for a while, it felt like the whole system was on the brink. Trump trade wars of 2018. The markets were actually doing okay in 2018 until the US China trade war. Investors panicked about tariffs, growth slowed, and the TSX finished the year with one of its worst performances since 2008. The tech sector took a big hit, and oil prices weren't helping either. 2025, the AI bubble and tariffs again. Kicking up with 2025, this year has been brutal. After a crazy AI driven stock rally in 2024, reality hit hard. Tech stocks, which had been flying high, came crashing down. And let's not forget the ongoing trade war. Thank you for watching Canadian Matters. See you next time.